over last weekend, rallying against global warming on a cold Quebec City day. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, that's Quebec City. Now, the Globe and Mail reports the Act on Climate Change march included representatives from First Nations, environmental activists, and political groups who are trying to convince politicians to ban oil sands extraction and prevent pipelines from being built to bring that oil to market. Did you hear what I said? They want to take something that's very profitable and a boon to the Canadian economy and to a boon to Canadian workers, and they want their government to put a stop to it. Now, protesters dressed in red even marched in a now, how much you want to bet they got to this stupid rally in a vehicle that was run on gasoline that was produced from that oil sands oil? I mean, these are some of the biggest hypocrites you will ever run across in your entire life. Environmentalist wackos are some of the biggest hypocrites you will ever run across your entire freaking life. I'm telling you, this is who they are. They never follow through with what they actually say, because if they did, they wouldn't be able to do half the things that they say that you can't do or shouldn't do. Hey, if you're going to go to Quebec and protest global warming, I think you would probably either want to take your, 2 human leg pedal bike, or maybe take a bus, or walk. That's even better. But you're definitely not going to drive your car. If you're an eco-activist, if you're an environmentalist wacko, global warming person that believes in it, why would you even own a car? Every time you get in that car and drive it, you're contributing to the death of society and the planet and everything else on the planet as we know it. Even though you're out there protesting, you're contributing to the death of the planet by driving your car. But you don't care because you're a hypocrite. So protesters dressed in red even marched in formation that made a thermometer meant to send a message about climate change. Yeah, the temperature hasn't been rising. It's been dropping, so I don't know what their problem is. It's a little, I guess they want it warmer now because they didn't like the cold this year. I wasn't too thrilled about all the cold either, but hey, it is winter. Now, the Globe and Mail reported if it were a real thermometer, it would have shown temperatures at a chilly 44 degrees Fahrenheit by 4 p.m., the high for the day. Most of the day, however, temperatures were lower with some wind chill and high humidity. Photos of the march show protesters and onlookers alike bundle up walking over sleet and snow to protest global warming. You can't make this stuff up. They're protesting global warming, and they're having to march over snow and ice and bundle up because the high for the day was 44 degrees. But they're protesting global warming. Now, so they're walking over snow and sleet and ice to protest global warming, which scientists predict over a decade will eventually mean the end of snow. Really, end of snow. We've broken a snow record over here in New England this year. How is that the end of snow? Oh, is this the last hurrah? Let's think about this for a second. Over the past 3 years, places all over the world have traded off setting new snowfall and new cold records. But eventually, I don't know, sometime in the future, like, 2050, 2100, 2200, eventually, when we're no longer alive and no longer here, and we've invented some other source of energy, the planet is going to warm up so much that there won't be any more snow. But you see, we will have actually invented a new energy source that is non-polluting. So it won't matter. Then global warming won't matter. Oh, but it will because, we're told, well, even if we stop polluting now, we can't stop the progress of global warming for the next 100 years. Well, then why bother? Because at some point we're going to invent something new to take over for fossil fuels. Eventually, we will invent something new that is just as good, just as cheap, just as plentiful, just as readily available, just as easy to use as fossil fuel. Oil. See, that's the difference, folks. That's the difference. We're not on the right. We're not this stupid naive to believe that we can just stop using oil and that the entire civilized world isn't going to collapse on itself. That's just insanity. It's also insanity to be marching still in the throes of winter with snow and ice on the ground, and you're bundled up trying to stay warm and then talking about global warming. It's also pretty stupid to protest something that hasn't come to pass. As a matter of fact, just the opposite in the past season that you've experienced in record low temperatures and record amount of snowfall. So how can you say that eventually, someday, the snow will end? Well, that might be, but it won't be due to mankind. It'll be because Mother Nature is tired of, shaking her head and getting the white stuff all over the place. Plain and simple. It has nothing to do with, whether or not you drive a car or you drive a Prius or hey, bicycles are not 100%, carbon whatever free either. So, you gotta dig up the metal to make the bike. Or if you got one of those carbon fiber things, well, you got to use certain natural resources in order to make the carbon fiber. And then you got to have the energy in order to make the carbon fiber. So it doesn't matter what it is. Everything that you have, everything that you do is going to have some sort of carbon footprint, and it's going to affect the planet somehow. Period. There's no way around it. Unless you're like that, it's a Discovery Channel TV show, Naked and Afraid. Yes, I said naked, not naked. Naked and Afraid. Now, I've never watched the show, but I've seen the previews of it, and they're out in the wilderness, and they really are just totally, they're butt naked with I think a satchel or something over their shoulder, and whatever they can, whatever limited items they're allowed to have, and they have to survive for like a week or something. I think is that the premise of the show? I don't know. All I know is that they're naked. They're nude, like Adam and Eve. So unless the human race just decides to prance around like a ninny in a birthday suit, then I guess we're always going to have to worry about dealing with certain aspects of society, like clothing. Well, in order to get clothing, you have to get clothing somehow, whether it be a man-made cloth or it be a natural cloth. And if it's natural cloth, that means you either have to farm it or grow it or livestock it, take care of it, feed it, or half a dozen other ways in order to get clothing to cover your body. And you're also going to have to, obviously, you're going to have to move. If you're going to be naked, you're going to have to move someplace that doesn't have cold temperatures. So that means everybody out of the Northeast, the Northern Hemisphere, pretty much. So that means there's going to be overcrowding in the warmer parts of the planet, right? Hey, look, I'm just trying to be logical about this stupidity that they're trying to foist upon us. So, and of course, one of the big culprit of global warming is the United States. Well, you know something? I got some news for you. And this is from Yahoo News. China to surpass U.S. as top cause of modern global warming. That is right. And this is out of Oslo. China is poised to overtake the United States as the main cause of man-made global warming since 1990. So we've only had global warming since 1990? That's the way I read it. We've only had global warming since 1990. Well, that's what the story seems to say. The benchmark year for the UN-led action in a historic shift that may raise pressure on Beijing. Oh, nothing is going to raise pressure on Beijing to act on global warming if they do not want to. If they don't see it in their best interest, they're going to poo-pah it and say, take a hike. This is China. You know, we used to say this is America, but, you know, we're not allowed to do that anymore. Now, China's cumulative greenhouse gas emissions since 1990, when governments were becoming aware of climate change, will outstrip those of the United States in 2015 or 2016, according to separate estimates by experts in Norway and the United States. So we have people out there who are running around testing our air to see how bad the pollution is in the United States. And then they're going to compare it with how bad the pollution is over in China. And then they're going to spread it out, like, you know, I guess plaster it on some sort of spreadsheet to see how long it is and see who's got a longer track record of being bad at being good. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be China's going to be the one that outstrips us because they have more people. Eventually, it's going to happen. They have more people. Plain and simple. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, or doubts. They have more people. How are they not going to? Look, they're going to be the world's largest economy simply because they have the most people. Plain and simple. But now they're going to outstrip the United States as far as being global warming contributors. And you know who's not far behind them is India. Another fast-growing middle-class country. You know, China's got 1.2, 1.3 billion people, and India's got about 1 billion, 1.1 billion people. And, you know, that's close to 2.5 billion people on a planet of 7.5 billion. They're right there. I mean, seriously. We're 320, 330 million. That's it. But we're the world's biggest polluters, so we're told. But that's also not necessarily true. Evidently, China's starting to pollute more than we are. Just saying. So, you know, you could go back up there into Quebec City. You should, you know, if you're a global warming lover and global warming believer, then you should be up there in Quebec City in the cold and snow and the ice protesting global warming while you freeze your tuchus off. I would love to see it. I just think that's funny. I want to see it. I want to be able to see it first. I would go up there firsthand. I know, but I happen to know that it's still cold up there. I'm done with cold this year. I don't want any more cold. Otherwise, I'd go up there and take pictures. Bring it down to you. I know. I probably should, you know, sacrifice just so the rest of you could don't have to do such a thing. But I'm ready for warmer temperatures. So I'm all for bringing on global warming, you know, in a controlled manner. We can have it in a controlled manner. You know, we can raise it a couple of degrees every week. That's fine. I go that way until you get up to, like, you know, 76, 78 degrees. It's got 80. And on the days we want beach weather, no, above 85 to 90, 95, that's great. You need to find those kind of people that are, you know, willing to puff up, spend money like that on global warming so we could be able to be on the beach every day with 85 and 95 degree weather. That would be kind of nice. I think so. I like warm weather. I know I live in the Northeast and I don't mind cold weather unless it's, like, you know, ridiculously cold, because I don't want to live in Alaska, which is why I live over here in New England. So I don't mind cold weather. I just don't want it super cold. But I really love warm weather. So I would kind of be the type of person that says, well, let it heat up and warm up a little bit. It's not so bad if we don't get as much snow. I guess we'll have to deal with the water shortage issue on the other end. But hey, maybe we'll just get more rain instead of snow. That's always better anyway, because the rain happens during the warmer months, so that means it's going to be warmer outside. I think I would rather take the warmth. So global warming might not be such a bad idea if it's just a little bit. Unfortunately, The planet hasn't been heating up. Satellite pictures have shown that the Earth has actually been cooling off.